Our oceans need our help. To reverse the damage, we need to act swiftly. Passionately answering this call to find creative solutions are key leaders. The Victoria International Marina, the Ocean Legacy Foundation, and the Natural Talent Alliance. These organizations have spent the last years searching for future leaders in textile manufacturing who are willing to take part in a major effort to redefine an industry and reclaim our oceans. Only by working together can we tackle a problem this size.
Hello and welcome to the Future Oceans virtual roundtable discussions featuring some of the key players involved in our community. We'd like to start off by thanking the Festival of Curiosity and all involved for inviting us to be a part of this fantastic event. Future Oceans began as a fashion show that took place at the Victoria International Marina in BC on July 1st, 2019. However, it wasn't just a fashion show in the end. It became so much more. For many, it was an artistic-led movement designed to offer creative solutions and bring awareness to the crisis of plastics in our oceans. And of course, support the work of the Ocean Legacy Foundation. To talk about this and much, much more, I'm delighted to introduce our panel today. Creative Director of the show and co-founder of the Natural Talent Alliance, Larose, founder of the Ocean Legacy Foundation, Chloé Dubois, Network Ninjaneer of the Victoria International Marina, Parish, one of Canada's top models, Everline Aboka, and one of the fashion show designers, Brunner, and myself as the moderator of today's event, Donnelly. Collectively, we all had a part to play in this very first event for Future Oceans, but maybe we could turn to you, Catherine, to maybe fill in the blanks for the uninitiated. How did Future Oceans come to be?
My understanding is that the idea for the fashion show was actually brought by Chloé Dubois to the marina at one point in time. And it wasn't until a little bit later that I received a phone call from Craig Norris, who said that he had found out about some of the work I was doing and that I was working kind of on the fringe of fashion and wearable technology at the time. And he thought that maybe I might be able to help them bring this idea to fruition. And this was the idea for a wearable art fashion show utilizing ocean plastic that had been collected by the Ocean Legacy Foundation and turned into wearable art for a runway production that was really unprecedented at the Victoria International Marina.
And I was given Chloe's card by Craig after when I was doing market research. All the big brands out there in the world were like doing all this anti-plastic stuff, and it was kind of all cheesy and fake. And then I kind of pitched the CEO. I'm like, well, we should do something because we're like a garbage dump every time the tide comes in and out. And then he was at an event where Chloe was speaking, and he went through his Rolodex and found me her card. And I called her up with like no idea what to say, and it was just organic. And I was like, totally. I wanted to do something and didn't know what to do. And then I was like, wow, like Chloe's like the real McCoy. And then within chats, I think Chloe pitched a fashion show. But I was just like, if we're gonna do something, it can't just be like boring. And Chloe took charge and brought it up, I think. That's what I recall.
And what was the idea, Chloe, to utilize plastic that you were pulling in from the ocean and turn it into fashion?
I've seen it done with other nonprofit organizations abroad, and I thought it was a really great idea to, Greg just called me out of the blue. I had really no idea who he was and who the Marina was. And so after quite a few conversations, we got to talking, and I thought it'd be a perfect project to launch at the Marina as a massive collaboration. I mean, these plastics aren't just coming from our organization. We work with a lot of other NGOs that put in the time and the resources to go out into the field and collect. So our aim really is to find pragmatic solutions and afterlife processing solutions to a lot of these materials so that they don't end up back in our oceans or in our landfills or incinerators. So we're constantly looking for new collaborations and projects where these materials can then be further utilized.
Maybe, again, for people who don't know, we want to fill in the blanks for what the Ocean Legacy Foundation does, what it is, and what it continues, as I say, to do.
So the Ocean Legacy Foundation was inspired in 2011 and then later founded in 2014 as a platform to connect many different sectors, from industry to government, scientists, NGOs, to connect this wide breadth of various stakeholders together in the fight against plastic pollution. We do lots of different activities at the moment. Our activities are separated into 4 components. Our first component, our program is called EPIC. When you break down that what that acronym means, we integrate education and research, as well as policy and advocacy work. So working really closely with governments to suggest best practice policy, as well as internationally as well.
Yeah.
We also develop infrastructure. So looking at various machines that we can either innovate ourselves or build in our own community as well as abroad to create that framework to collect and process plastics, as well as to work with various businesses to better design their products. And then we also, our last component is C in the EPIC program, which is cleanup and restoration. So we do fairly extensive multi-day remote expeditions. And we primarily work right now in North, Central, and South America.
When you were reclaiming all that plastic and boxed it off and shipped it to the designers for the fashion show, what were you thinking at that time? Did you see in your mind's eye what this could be? What was your expectations?
I mean, I really wasn't sure, but I was trying to pack the boxes as diverse as possible to not stump the artists or their creative process, but to try and enhance the creativity and the innovation that could take place. So it was a really exciting time because we just didn't know what to expect. And I actually love the name of Curiosity Festival because that's sort of the motto of our lives, essentially, is to stay curious so that we can be open and innovative to sort of whatever needs to happen to solve this issue. It's so complex. And there's so many various stakeholders that need to be involved in order to solve the root problem. So Future Oceans was really a beautiful platform for lots of different people to come together from different backgrounds and sectors and connecting with artists and models and event producers and seeing what we could put together, all in the name of helping our oceans and pushing forth ocean conservation.
If I can add to what Chloe was saying, when you open up the first super yacht marina, the second one in the North American hemisphere, everyone thinks that we're all rich and arrogant, and so, you know, aligning with Chloe's beliefs, we wanted to shake the money tree and see who's out there and who actually cares, because the transfer of wealth, there's a whole new group of people who are in power and they actually want to help. They don't want to, you know, contribute to the issue. So that's why I really wanted to push this. And there's a lot of people out there with money. We just got to convince them to you know, spend it in the right way.
Is that part of the reason why the Marina wanted to do a fashion show of all things? You know, like
no, we're a garbage dump, and every time the tide goes in and out, the problems of a city would stick to our you know, docks, and it was kind of gross what you see. And it was just like, why is there so much styrofoam stuck to our dock and we don't have any styrofoam in our marina? So we did it because we were confused, and what Chloe's doing was so just intriguing. It's real. And so that's, instead of like writing long papers and becoming this like company that, like, you know, puts fluff into the air, we want to support Chloe. And of course, it was a bit of an issue when we did this event. It was a lot of logistics, but you know, our core is still to support this and push it forward.
Excellent. Whilst this is a live show, I'm going to also bring in another fashion designer of the show, Sydney Lunt. If you can, Sydney, are you there?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hey, you, Sydney.
There There we go.
There she
Hey.
is. It's live zooming. Perfect. Well, what I'll do is we will come to the designers in a second. It brings me back to the question I was asking you, Catherine, is when it came time to look for, make the call for submissions, looking for designers to participate in the fashion show. What was the criteria? What were you looking for?
Well, so Matt and I made those decisions together, of course, Matt, my business partner. And we received just over 60 submissions from fashion designers. It was an international call for submissions, so they were coming in from several different countries, which was exciting. And of course, we let a few of our friends in the fashion industry know as well, so that they had an opportunity to apply. But the criteria for everybody was pretty much the same. They had to display really incredible creativity. They had to have a wonderful sense of creativity. They had to have the ability to work with the recycled material. So they kind of had to really prove their concept on paper to us. They had to consider safety. And another criteria was actually beauty, because it was our belief that if they could create something that was truly beautiful, it would be preserved.
It brings me nicely to the designers themselves. We're joined, as I say, by Sydney and Sam. And Sam, maybe if I can start with you. When you first opened that box of ocean debris, what went through your head?
The possibilities. I kind of let my piece guide me. I have it in the background there. Just seeing everything that was in there. I had there was actual shells that were on my ropes and stuff. So I had to take it apart, clean it all, and rethink my design, because I wanted to show integrity with my piece, with what I could do, and not just try and make something work that I originally designed. So just possibilities. Yeah.
You weren't put off in any way by seeing just the bric-a-brac stuff that was there, no?
No, I opened it up with my kids in my kitchen, and we all kind of just went through it and kind of was like, ooh, what can we do with this? And just got right in there.
What about yourself, Sydney? Was that much the same? Did you you weren't shocked in any way? You weren't intimidated at all by the box?
I actually had the complete opposite reaction. I went, how am I going to be able to do this?
Right. Okay.
What did I just sign myself up for?
Yeah.
So I just like Sam had to rethink how I was going to create my image that I designed, bring it to life, and actually still stay to the design instead of recreate it, redo the design altogether.
Because there was two parts to it. There was the wearable art section, and then you had the resort wear or ready to wears that you had to use eco-friendly material. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And out of interest, out of the two, wearable art, eco-friendly material, where are we at? What was your preference?
I liked working with my wearable art.
Yeah.
It was something that I really enjoy, I guess, just working with the materials. So I think I'm going to continue forward with that and start trying to think of more stuff. The eco wear was good. It was just really hard to source materials in Canada that was eco-friendly, but also sustainable. So you had to really, really look into where you were purchasing your materials from. So that was the really difficult part.
Actually, funny enough, that jumps ahead to one of my questions, but I'll ask it nevertheless now. No, it's perfect, because I was interested to know though, say fast fashion or ready, the cheap textiles, whatever, married to the eco fashion or materials like lyocell or tinsel or tencel, whatever way you say it. Is there a future for that, or is it too costly to make that, or is it hard to source? What's the reality to that situation?
I think once I sourced where I can get it, and I made sure I found a really good company that their values are sustainable. I think it's good to go forward with it. It's a little bit more costly, but in the long run, I think it's going to save money type of thing. It's an investment you need to make, but the quality is there. It's really great material. It's breathable. It's not plastic. So it has all it's a great material.
And I'll turn to you to ask the same question, really, Sydney. In respect to that, do you see a future with that? Do you think that's the way forward to better enhance the environment, the world that we live in? Do you think that's...
I do. I completely see
Yeah.
a future with it. I find that most of them are actually a lot more comfortable to wear, and actually more healthier for your body too, to wear more natural fibers and everything instead of the synthetic. Synthetics usually actually cause a lot of issues with people's skin and everything like that. So it definitely is the way to go. But for fast fashion, sometimes, sourcing it can take a hell of a lot longer, but it's worth it in the long run.
And it leads me nice enough to our top model, one of the top models that were there that day. Eve, you got to wear this material. How did you find it? Was it comfortable? Did you like it? What was your takeaway from it?
Yes, majority of the pieces were wearable and very comfortable. And, wearing something knowing that it has a conservation aspect attached to it just gives you more vibe to do what you want to do as a model.
Well, if I can ask, again, it's clearly you're killer on the runway, but what was it about this particular show that drew you to it to make you want to be a part of it?
Oh, basically fashion, because fashion connects everybody, from the rich to the poor, the young to the old, men, women, and children. We all use fashion. And I thought that it would be a good idea to bring in people and tell them about something, using something that they use on a regular basis. And the other thing was also the fact that I was gutted by the fast fashion. The senseless production of pieces that are gonna just last a few weeks, and then somebody goes back to the store to buy another one. And thirdly, by the fact that the fast fashion is really doing a mess in my continent. The whole idea of fashion, cheap fashion, all this ends up in Africa. We've made Africa the dumping site of our irresponsible creations in the Western world. And I don't think this is fair. And as far as I'm concerned, that's my home. And that's the home of your ancestors, and we need to take care of it.
Have you ideas or solutions in mind? Is there, what's the future ahead? How do you think it can be resolved?
Well, I believe that we must all be held accountable. I believe that the government should come up with a procedure that defines how fashion houses create pieces. For example, I love to wear clothes made in the 60s. And do you know where I get them from? I get them from the thrift store. Reason being, if you get wool from that place, it's something that is gonna last for more years. It's a timeless fashion. It's not gonna be there for one day and gone. So as long as we let designers work as they wish, I think we're still gonna have a problem. But if we have laws, it's always laws. I know as a justice student, I know that the more laws we have, the more rights we take away from the people. But sometimes we have to deny people the rights, especially if their rights are going to deny our children, the children of my generation, the opportunity to enjoy planet Earth, the opportunity to sit by the ocean and enjoy the sun setting.
On the topic of government and getting assistance there, especially now we're looking at a post-COVID world, there's people are concerned about the pandemic, quite obviously, but in terms of Ocean Legacy Foundation, have you seen, is there been assistance? Is there a format or a guideline or guidance from government for you guys and what work you guys do?
Speaking specifically for the Canadian government, up until maybe 3 or 4 years ago, ocean plastics was really not in the political discourse. But because of a collective effort of many of us putting forth petitions, MP Gord Johns for our area was very vocal in terms of bringing these issues to Parliament in Ottawa, in Canada here, and really got the issue on the agenda for discussion. Things have really snowballed. So, I mean, just a few days ago, even the federal government made another announcement for a multi-million-dollar effort to remove ghost gear from the ocean. which is going to be facilitated by the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. So we're going to be working alongside of them. The federal government has also now put in various other initiatives in order to fund innovation and technology to improve waste management systems here for recycling. So there's definitely a lot more discussion. The awareness is increasing. And it's inspiring to see that funds are actually, for the first time in history, being invested to solve these issues. So it's inspiring. However, with the development of COVID, at the same time, there's been an influx of single-use disposable plastics and the use of those dramatically. A lot of the single-use plastic bag bans have been lifted temporarily. So we're seeing an influx of masks, gloves as pollution. And so I think there's going to have to be another whole round of advocacy work done just to address certain issues as a result of COVID. So we'll see really long-term the impacts of this, but we're already, seeing the composition of waste even change because of the virus. So.
Yeah, and it's not just a Canadian thing; it's a global thing. Especially in Ireland, I noticed hearing people like masks, gloves are just being discarded, and that was the question in my mind that popped into my head. If I think back to the fashion show when it kicked off, and everybody wanting to get involved, and my concern when COVID started is that was this all going to be put on the back burner? Is this all going to be forgotten about? And now with the pandemic, that's going to be the focal point, But if we circle back though to the fashion show, and Catherine, I'll turn to you on this one, and maybe Greg can also intervene. Logistics of putting such a show together. Can you talk us through it? Maybe it was touch and go whether or not it was going to go ahead in the first place, but how hard was it to make sure that you got your designers doing what they're doing, and behind the scenes, your makeup artists using the correct, the stuff and not throwing away and not being contradicting your efforts. How hard was that putting that show together?
But it actually wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, but it was definitely a journey. It was a journey. Because you're right, the fashion designers, that was one thing. We had a lot of things that we had to work around, like no water bottles, no glass on the docks. There's a lot of things that make catering a large event difficult. But then on top of that, we were trying to be as green as possible. So we had sustainable food boards and menus done by Boom and Batten and the Wandering Mollusk. We had really cool partnerships for the show as well, trying to offer us some sustainable alternatives for our glassware, things like that for the show. But actually what was kind of exciting was behind the scenes, as you said, the hair and makeup was a concern for me. And if I didn't have such an amazing team to work with, it might have been really hard. But I just sort of, Yvonne Arsenault and Michelle Walsh they're forces to be reckoned with in that industry. So I basically just said, you need to be green because there's going to be a lot of cameras back there and potentially media. So I don't know how you're going to do this because you also have to be totally sanitary. And they had to teach brand new hair and makeup artists who were local from the area to do the same thing. So it was a really quick green backstage, but it was exciting to watch, and they took it really seriously, and they spent weeks researching all of their alternatives for their bamboo eyelash brushes and things like that.
What was Greg, sorry, what was the biggest challenge in putting the show from the Marina's perspective? What was the biggest challenges or hurdles you faced?
Thinking that you know what you know, but you don't know anything, and then ran out of cups, which were imported from Minnesota, which are plant-based, and no big deal. Let's go get coffee cups. But all the coffee cups are lined with plastics, and it was a real awakening to kind of understand what Chloé sees every day and understands, and then trying to convey that message to people who just want to live life as normal. But it was stressful. Oh my gosh, we ran out of cups. How are we going to make people have a drink? Everything is lined with plastic. So I felt like I was schooled, and the whole team was schooled, and it's good to learn. It was like a punch in the face, but you kind of like what Chloé said about the whole PPE thing. plastic bags are now the norm. But that day we were trying to be plastic free, and it was really hard to do. So I got schooled.
Another thing that jumps to mind was that we tried really hard with our signage. So for the show, we didn't use any vinyl signage. We used just paper, which meant that it literally lasted, unfortunately, a few hours. That was another, and we were trying to use recycled paper on some of the small signs too. But so those were decisions that we were making to try to reduce the amount of waste that we created. But yeah, they were tough calls. You're right, Greg. There was a few of those.
And we take everything for granted, and now plastic bags are the norm. But yeah, it was tough.
And maybe that's one question I have for everybody. We'll go around the make-believe circle table. What is something that you take away from your time with the Future Oceans project? What's something that you've learned that you didn't know before being part of this project? Maybe Catherine, you could lead us on that.
I think that Future Oceans just continue to inspire creativity and innovation, and I'm inspired by that, by the fact that people are still talking about it and sharing pictures from it and wanting to be a part of it, even though we're not really sure what our next big move would be. But the fact that people are still so supportive and so passionate about it, they're just looking for an opportunity to educate people. And ultimately, I think that's why for me the fashion show was important, and why art is so important for these types of conversations, is because they break down all those barriers that make communication difficult, like whatever that may be, education, gender, culture, class, whatever that may be. But art has a way of kind of just bulldozing through all of that and getting something across. So that's what we wanted to do was that. And I think our community that we've created since the show, who participated with us on all of these different little projects along the way, they just want to keep going, and they want to see Ocean Legacy Foundation survive, so that they can continue to do their amazing work as well.
If I can add to it, we still have a lot of work to do, but this is only because of Ocean Legacies. This is like that foundation, the glue. So we have a lot of work to do, and it's a brand new year. And oddly, COVID-19 has allowed us to break all the rules and just do what you want and then fail in public, and it's okay to do so because there's no rules right now.
That's one way of looking at it, Greg. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. Yeah, I'll go nuts and start looting. But like Chloe, what about yourself though? From the show to now, what was your takeaways from it?
I was really impressed with the ingenuity of the artists, how they were able to take materials that they've, in most cases, probably never worked with before. And really pulled together some incredibly impressive pieces that were stunning on the models, and really everybody who participated, I think, changed in some way. So I mean, that's what is, as Catherine was saying, is really inspiring for me as well, and is part of the fuel that keeps us going, is just seeing that impact that it does create and seeing that ripple in everyone's lives. And then now the aftermath of that is, how do we pull all of that back together and continue on and really grow and evolve the movement together?
And the two designers, I mean, like before Future Oceans, I mean, and after, did it change your outlook on how you were, you design or made your clothes and garments, or, what was your takeaways from the show? I'll start with Sam.
I have really been really cautious about what I use, from down to threads, buttons, just everything. And just really thinking about, can my designs work for the masses rather than just one demographic? Because there's not a lot of eco-wear for everyone. So I wanted to kind of make sure it's available for everyone, saying there is a different option than fast fashion. There's more. So it has changed my whole brand and design outlook, and I'm continuing that forward.
Wow, that's fantastic. And it is about quality as opposed to quantity, perhaps, and maybe educating people again, and re-educating people. But yourself, Sydney, what about yourself? What was your takeaways from the event?
My takeaway from it is that before, I didn't really care what I was wearing or what I was making it out of, just that I was making something that looked pretty and everything like that. And since the show, I've actually been really researching and looking into the eco sides, the most natural sides of clothes, or even the stuff that I wear personally, as well as every day-to-day things as well. Like even if you think of your bathroom, like your shower curtain compared to even the bottles that your shampoos are in, like why not switch to a shampoo that's in a bar form instead of a bottle? Like there's so many things, like since the show, it's really like enlightened me.
Well, it had a far-reaching impact on you. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and Eve, your takeaways. What did you learn? Did you take anything big from the show?
There's always something to learn, Alan.
Yeah.
So for me, it was as my generation, we are known to push stuff, and sometimes people think that we're just crazy people pushing ideas without a cause and all that. And just to sit and realize that there were a group of people who are thinking about the same things that we think about as millennials was so big for me, because that it meant that our children can have a future. That meant that we will still have the world, the earth, to be able to achieve our dreams, So the care from other people, from the organizers, from Catherine to Marge, to you, Alan, to the designers, to Sydney and all that, that was big. Yeah.
I think for me, my major takeaway was like the impact and the importance of collaboration, and using, for me, like music is my passion, but being able to use it to convey a complex message, such as the crisis of plastic in the ocean. I never thought it could convey it, but married to what you guys, the artists, designed in terms of the wearable art section, that was particularly my favorite, because it allowed the musicians to enhance what we were visually looking at and to create a bigger atmosphere. That's what made that fashion show so spectacular for me. And the pleasure I got out of working with the musicians such as Mudge Music, Paul Sanders, a shout out to the boys in Ireland, Ojo Music, Darren Flynn, and Wan Ying Chan, who, as I said, created that massive, that beautiful piece, that 15-minute piece of cinematic glory that just enhanced what we were looking at in terms of what you guys created with the wearable art, which was spectacular. It was fabulous,
I have a question for you. What was it like for you to work with the Nanaimo Contemporary Ballet? They had to choreograph a ballet to your song. What was that like?
Honestly, I was terrified. I was so out of my depth. I actually at one point thought I have to hand this over. But after speaking, again, it harks back to the importance of collaborating, and speaking to Chantel in our first 2 or 3 encounters, it was clear that we were like of mind insofar as she was making fish noises and I was clapping in the background. It was a weird experience, I'm not going to lie. But to inevitably have something that you created musically and then see it choreographed by the Nanaimo Contemporary Ballet, it was phenomenal, and again, it just embodied what the whole show was about, and really what the crisis of the plastics, like it does sometimes feel that it's unbearable. There's no wood, you can't see the wood from the trees, but that if you can persevere and like yourself, Chloé, the good work that you guys, I'm sure the struggles, there's days where you think that possibly you can't go on, but there's a greater good going on there for you guys, and you find a way, you keep on doing it, and and a credit to you guys. And actually, I'd like to touch on maybe something that you're looking forward to do. A little birdie tells me there might be an ability for people to get involved with the Ocean Legacy Foundation in terms of an ambassador role. Do you want to fill in the blanks on that one?
So this year we're hoping to launch our Epic Ambassador program so that people can be epic in their own community. And what that means is basically taking the education, policy, infrastructure, and cleanup components that we're writing curriculums for right now and taking that into their own community. And I'm really all for people just taking bits of whatever they need and tailoring that to what they need for their community and their specific environmental parameters and those sorts of things. So, I mean, there's really no cookie cutter solution in this crisis, and we need to remember that. And there is not one solution, but it's going to be a diversity of solutions. And the more diverse we can make these solutions, the more resilient we're going to be able to make our communities and respond to an ever-changing climate. So I'm really inspired and excited to launch the EPIC Ambassador Program with Catherine. Actually, she's been helping develop things behind the scenes, and to continue collaborating with Future Oceans, and we'll see where all of this goes. And it's really, I think, for us, it's really about stimulating that plastic circular economy and how we can start to shift the base of waste culture to resource culture, and to create these closed loop circular systems just to mimic nature. I mean, within a natural system, there's no such garbage or waste, really. Everything is working within itself and connected and constantly recirculating. So it's within this sort of natural framework that we as a humanity need to find within our own communities. And I'm really hoping that EPIC can play a large role in that, to really start reshaping what that looks like in 1,000 different ways. So I'm looking forward to that.
People want to reach out to you and get involved, become an ambassador. How do they go about doing that?
Well, we haven't launched it yet, so you can check out our website at www.oceanlegacy.ca. And we'll have sign-up details on our website, as well as our social media page, the Ocean Legacy Foundation, on Facebook, and our Instagram is the Ocean Legacy.
Excellent. And Greg, I'll turn to you. And plans for the Marina, is there another fashion show in the pipeline? Or is any other eco projects that you're working on? What has the Marina got in store?
Yeah, COVID is not really helping, because our whole economy, like at the core of it, is like the border brings us southern yachts, and so the border being shut is not good. But we have a venue, and we have to rethink everything and retool everything. And so luckily we have owners that are allowing us to weather the storm. But no, we're actually doing a lot of arts and culture on the docks and getting a lot of pushback from the city. But a lot of people are loving what we're doing, and we do want to do another fashion show on the docks. We're going to enter into the end of the summer, and we have a $60 million facility that's dead. So let's utilize it, and let's just go big, and let's try something, because I honestly don't know what's going to happen in the fall. Let's just rethink everything and retool and be positive and be thought leaders, and let's focus on all that plastic that keeps hitting our docks from a city. It's pretty disgusting, and I don't know. My ending comment is like, what we have done through Chloé's ambitions is that, only the tip of the iceberg. So let's just start shifting cash and our focus onto things like these positive agendas. That's all I have to say.
Just to add on to that, I feel like it's not just my ambitions. I feel like everybody brought their ambitions to the table to really complete this and create it, and everybody took, brought their little piece of the puzzle, and together we made it what it is. And so I don't know, I'm pretty, overall, it was a huge success. So
my apologies for focusing on you all the time, Chloé, but it just always goes back to wow, this started from a dumb phone call from Chloé, and dumb, but let's just say
don't kill the love. That was
but, no, it is a huge collaboration.
Okay. I'll take the love.
Go back to the basics.
What I would ask though of Future Oceans, what is the future? What do you see as the next steps?
I think in the near future though, we're shooting for sometime in September. We would like to do an art auction to help support Ocean Legacy Foundation and the artists. So it'll be an online auction, and we'll share information in a similar way on our social media channel.
Excellent.
Future. So that's our next little project. But we'll be talking in the next little while to see if maybe there's another way that we can come up with a way to raise more awareness, for sure. We've got a beautiful little community of people. Yeah, we'll do something.
Well, that is fantastic. Does anybody want to interject? This is the floor is yours. I will step back. Anybody want to say anything? Going once?
I just appreciate like the open forum to just be open to failing.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that, you know, everyone got together, and it's against all odds, but I just love that consistent passion that's, you know, keeps happening. It's really like, it's motivating. My kids actually question me every time I touch things, is that plastic? And so that's, you know,
Wow.
Yeah.
we've achieved it.
Yeah, no, that's it. I'd like to thank you. There's nobody, again, I don't want to just end this with not anyone accusing me of not letting them say anything. So you've got the floor.
You did well. Thank you for moderating.
Alan, thank you.
Good job,
Thank
Alex.
you.
I love you all. You're all beautiful people. Thank you so much. Again, what we would like to do is say thank you to the event organizers, the team at the Festival of Curiosity, and hopefully when normality resumes, the future of Future Oceans may see us float to Ireland, to my hometown, and see us be in the
That'd be
flesh
fun.
for the Festival of
Yeah.
Curiosity. Just, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah,
But
you're a sponsor.
yeah, but excellent. Before we will leave you guys with the ballet performance that we spoke about earlier in the show, entitled "Plastic Whale," and that's all that's left to say is, ladies and gents, to say goodbye to the people in Dublin.
Wow,
Bye.
good job. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.